Welcome back to Paxton and the Rug Buds, Episode 3. Before we start the episode, I wanted to remind you that our new actual play podcast, Tales of Bob, has just launched. It's a clean actual play podcast produced as part of the House of Bob. I'm the GM for the first campaign, and Jessica and Josh are players, along with Sean and Jeanette from the House of Bob. We think you'll really like it. If you go subscribe, you can listen to the first 4 episodes right now. It would really help us if you could rate the podcast and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, too. And now, back to the episode, which starts with our guest DM giving a good recap, so I won't give one here. We have Brian as Paxton, Roderick as Fire Lumpin', Brandon as Humpin' Lumpin', and later, Ryan will join us. But I won't say anything more about that because I don't want to spoil anything. Of course, Pink returns as the Dungeon Master. Let's return to the crew as they leave the city of arrival on a ship.
Welcome back, listeners, once again to World 83, where Paxton is now on his quest to fight the evil Roderick for James Faster as a pit stop on his way to the Iron Empire to eventually confront the Doppelganger Emperor. In the meantime, he has just set forth out onto the ship of the HMS Secret. I found out that HMS just stands for Her Majesty's ship, so it's Her Magistracy's ship.
Who's the her?
You know, they think of her as their sovereign motherland. So Her Magistracy's ship, the Secret. And so after stepping aboard, Paxton, as well as Fire Lumpin' and Hempin' Lumpin', they were introduced to the ship's members. So you had already met Charles Faster, who was the elf who saved you as you were falling. He was wearing green robes with brown armor. He had a rapier, as well as a set of bagpipes, which he showed off in wonderful fashion at the Don't Go Inn. So you've met Atolf. I realized, in preparation for this, I went back and listened to like the 40 episodes before the party leaves the glass jar, and Atolf is actually never described other than having a gray cloak. So we're gonna say he has like short black hair and like a kind of evil villain goatee.
That's completely changed my opinion of him.
I was just imagining Arnold Schwarzenegger with a bowl cut.
I suppose that could work as well. You know what? I changed it. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger with a bowl cut. That's what Atolf looks like underneath.
In a gray cloak.
Yeah, and he's just crazy jacked, and nobody's really sure how he's so jacked as a wizard.
It's magic.
Exactly. So you've met Atolf. He also introduces you to some of his other crew members. The first people he introduces you to, there's a buff fighter dude and a wizard. The buff fighter dude, his name is D'Artagnan Nevin Donahue. But he says D&D is cool, so that's fine.
You did it.
The wizard, his name is Zenferer. He doesn't speak a lot of common. These are the 2 guys that accosted Finn inside of the tavern down in the Free Cities before you guys entered the Magistracy. But you never met them, so you don't know who they are. I don't even know if you remember listening to that.
I can barely remember anything from the last session.
Gotcha. So those are 2 of his helpers. He also has a 2'5" halfling. She looks vaguely familiar to you, but you're not quite sure where you've seen her before. I found out also while researching this that halflings are actually listed as being smaller than gnomes in the D&D rulebook. So yeah, so she's...
Really?
Yeah, but her name is Jesla Snoozle. But as a joke, they all call her the Big Snooze.
So the Big Snooze, D'Artagnan, and Zenfer?
Yep.
Okay.
And then you also have a female dwarf with a beard. Her name is Olga. She's very quiet. She's short of speech and stature. You have another crew member. Her name is Sibley. And she actually remembers briefly meeting you in Munn's Tower. She was an apprentice to Munn. She was the one who told him that the river broke. Then you have a half-elf wizard he's a cleric, but his name is Hendrick, and he actually used to work in the Magistracy for Frevelia, but he was fired after not staying awake while the tower was broken into.
So all these, the crew of this ship, this is Charles Faster's ship or Charles Faster's friend's ship?
No, this is a Tolf ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you ended up not using Charles's ship.
Mm-hmm.
You also have some other people. You have like Penn and Piper Pockist. They're a couple. The Penn, he works as the ship's chef. Piper, she works as the chief engineer / carpenter. You have the helmswoman named Misty. And then you have One-Eyed William, who works as the ship bosun. And then finally, you have Captain Cragclaw, who's a gnome.
And that's the captain of the ship.
Yep.
How many of these will we have to remember?
None of them. Yeah, you don't have to remember. Captain Cragclaw, he was actually, I had him written as a turtle until I was listening to your holiday episode, Brandon, and I realized, because I thought turtles were in World 83, and then I realized it was a side thing that didn't take place in World 83 at all.
Hey, you can put turtles in World 83 if you want to.
No.
Mike is giving you free reign.
No, I'm already destroying this world. It'd be too much to add an extra race to it. So he's quickly switched from a turtle to being a gnome in an hour before this took place. But he's still Captain Cragclaw for some reason.
He's half werewolf.
Yep. All right, so Atolf lets you know that the voyage is probably going to take about 12 days. It would normally take about 17 because, I don't know if you remember, but you are traveling upstream and with the wind going towards you because all of the wind comes from the outside of the Glassguard world towards arrival, and all the rivers also come towards the ocean at the center as well.
So anytime you want to leave arrival and go anywhere else, you would be going against the wind.
Exactly. And so it's causing a lot of issues. However, Captain Cragclaw, he's a weather. They call him the Weather Wizard, and I'm a big Flash fan. But anyways, he can use a lot of water spells. He can use control water as well as tidal wave and some other things to kind of speed up the trip. So normally it would take about 17 days. He can do it in about 12.
Sounds like cheating to me.
Yep. You guys take off after meeting the crew. However, so I have a chart here. So we're going to see what happens on these days that you guys are traveling on this voyage. So roll a d20 for me, Brian.
All right. That is a 19.
Okay, gotcha. Well, so on the first day of your voyage, Sibley, she comes and introduces herself. She talks about how she used to work for Munn. Her name is actually Sibley Bever. Her dad was Lindley Bever, who she hasn't seen in a long time, but she's been looking for him. So she's actually a quarter elf because he was a half elf, and yeah, there wasn't a quarter elf selection on D&D Beyond, but yeah, she's been on the lookout for him for a while. He's currently on the lam.
That name sounds familiar. Is that someone we've come across before?
Yeah, Lindley Bever should actually be pretty familiar to you because that was your thief character.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I remember that now.
Yep. So he is currently an outlaw, and all she was trying to track him down, and eventually led her to Munn's tower, and Munn saw her magical ability and ended up taking her on as an apprentice. Yep. So that's one of the things you find the first day. All right. For the second day, Brandon, why don't you roll for me?
All right. 9.
All right. So
9.
So on this day, you start to pick up on crew dynamics. You realize that Sibley, there's kind of a love triangle going on where Hendrick has kind of have feelings towards her, but she's got feelings towards D'Artagnan or D&D, and yeah,
he's cool.
Yeah, and because he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy,
yeah.
And so there's kind of some awkward tension there, and you can kind of realize that. All right, let's see what happens on the third day. Ryan, you want to roll for me?
Yeah, sure. 11.
Perfect. That's what I was hoping for. So on the third day, Fire Lumpin', he's just standing there, and he all of a sudden he says,
I don't
feels so good.
And then all of a sudden, he just disappears, and sparkles and smoke, and this light beam shooting out of the smoke, and all of a sudden, he is gone. And standing in his place, you recognize Hemp and Lumpin. That is indeed Fancy Napkin Lumpin, standing where Fire Lumpin was just a moment ago.
Bye, Lumpin. Hi, Lumpin.
Whoa!
I see you've been working on your ghost impression.
Whoa! It worked. Whoa! Hello? I'm the sensational, magical, wonderful Rugbard extraordinaire! And Fancy Napkin Lumpkin, having the patch of flying cloak, zooms around in the air and then lands back where he first appeared.
I applaud politely.
Oh, wow.
Master Strombolo says branding is important. So if I meet a new person, I should introduce myself in the same way every time to make a memorable impression.
I'm certainly going to remember it. So it was Fire Lumpin that went away and was replaced by Fancy Cloth Napkin Lumpin, right?
Indeed. And all the crew members, they're very astonished at this, and they're a bit confused. You hear Zenfuror, he starts speaking in whatever language he speaks, and then you hear D'Artagnan comes up and he goes, wait, who are you, buddy? Who are you?
Oh, I'm the sensational, magical, wonderful Ragbard extraordinaire.
Yeah, I got all that part. Yes, but what happened to the other little guy?
You mean Lumpin?
Yes. Yeah. What happened to the other Lumpin?
He was with me in the teleportation circle, and where is he? I don't see him.
No, I mean you were. There was another little guy we've met. He was standing here, and all of a sudden you were here, and he's gone.
No, he didn't mean Lumpin. He meant Lumpin.
Yeah, Lumpin was standing next to me.
Okay.
No, Lumpin, not Lumpin.
Oh, Lumpin. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Lumpin was here too?
Yeah. Yeah, he was just standing there, and then he disappeared.
Oh.
And then you showed up.
Oh. Maybe we switched.
Yeah, so at this point, One-Eyed William, he comes up. Ahoy, matey! Hello, welcome aboard the ship. It's good to see a new face here. You can help me with the rigging.
He says to a tiny little dinner napkin.
Okay, what's a rigging?
It's like the ropes and stuff. I know how to sail on a boat. I'm the ship's boatswain. And then as he says that, Piper Pockest says it's pronounced bosun. And he goes, no, I'm the ship boatswain. Ahoy, matey. and I welcome ye aboard the ship. Tell me, little lad, do you know how to dance the hempen jig?
I mean, I could give it a try. I'm made of hemp.
Yeah, once again, Piper is like, that's not what that means. That means to be hung. That's not what that... And he's like, no, I think it me. Tell me, can you do some dances for us, lad?
So, Fancy Napkin Lumpin, who looks like a tissue paper ghost with a red bow tie, but made out of a fancy dinner napkin instead of a tissue paper, and floats up into the air and, moves around.
Perfect. Yeah, and so at this point I did want to say welcome back to the podcast, Ryan. We're glad we were able to work out the contract disputes and get you back on here. You drove a hard bargain, but it's worth it to have you back. Is there anything you would like to plug while you're here?
I have a project called Brave Adventures. We make paper miniatures and have some online role-playing game-related tools like a grimoire generator and paper miniature layout generator.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. Is it actually you who does the artwork for that, Ryan?
So there's a few different people that contribute. I have done art in the past, but recently I just do the editing the files and do color variations and some like touch-ups on other people's art.
Gotcha. Well, it is very well done. Everybody should check it out.
Can't believe Mike cut our pay so that we could have this special guest.
I know. I appreciate. Yeah, I did want to say thank you to you and Brandon for being willing to take the pay cut so that we could get Ryan back.
Yeah. Well, I'm enjoying my new yacht, guys. So
Yes,
I'll take you for a trip.
Exactly.
Them fancy dinner napkins ain't free, baby.
That's right. So the voyage continues. Ryan, why don't you can roll for the next one as well?
Okay. I got a 9 again, though.
Okay.
Should I re-roll?
Another lump appears.
It's all right. I deleted the other options. This night, one of you wakes up to find Captain Cragclaw. He's drunk aboard the top of the ship of name that I forgot.
The secret.
Yeah, yes, the secret. And he's walking around on the top of it, and he's kind of describing this vivid dream he has almost every night where he wakes up as a giant turtle.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he feels like he had this other life in a past life that he just never really fully experienced. I will say you notice with Captain Cragclaw, he has this really cool hat that he will, if you ask him about it, he'll tell you it's a cap of water breathing. If need be, he can actually breathe underwater with his cool pirate hat.
Sounds like a very handy thing.
Yep. He also has a ring of swimming.
How do you keep your hat on your head when you're in the water?
With my head. That's how hats work.
Oh.
Yep.
Glad he could open up to us. It's good to see him come out of his shell.
Yeah, so he mutters more and more about how this wasn't supposed to be the way things were, and he just feels like he's not his true self. But anyways, he will deny all this when you see him the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I need 2 more rolls, and then something interesting is going to happen.
Who do you need the roll from?
All right, you can roll, Brian.
It's a 17.
Atolf actually is talking to you one day, Paxton. And he starts talking, actually. It's kind of a rare night where Atolf actually opens up. You see him, he's just kind of standing aboard the ship one night. There's nobody else around, and he's kind of fingering this small, miniature chest in his hand. But as he sees you approach, he puts it away in his pocket. You guys kind of stand in silence for a little bit, and then he opens up and he says, "I never felt I was good enough, strong enough, smart enough for my father. He let me know that there was always room for improvement. A lot of sons would have been crippled by his demands, but instead, the discipline rubbed off on me." And then he looks at you, Paxton, and he says, "Tell me, who is your daddy, and what does he do?"
I don't think that was part of my memories that I got back. So I don't know who my daddy is. I don't know, Mike. Do I know who my daddy is?
No. And
No.
you don't know what he does either.
Yeah.
I see there's a lump on your neck there, Atolf. Is that a tumor?
And he looks at you and goes, "Oh my goodness, it might be." No, he does not say that. He tells you that it's not a tumor. It's not. Yeah.
You didn't want to do the voice.
No, I think I'm pretty sure I had Zorro going for a second. I don't think that was anywhere close to Arnie.
I threw you a slow ball and you just refused to swing.
It's okay. I've already done the it's not a Tuma thing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Not a,
There was
not
a point at which Atolf said it's not a rumor as a play on that. Yeah.
And then I think last episode I said, "It's not humor."
Yes. That's right.
Yep.
We also did a Get to the Hoppa, right?
That's my favorite one. I think he also meets Finn in a library, and he says, I'll be back. And then he like leaves for
Yes.
just like 5 seconds and then comes right back. Yeah, that was good. All right, Brandon, do you want to roll our last roll before?
Sure. Also 19.
Oh, wow.
Wasting all the good rolls.
Well, one night you're walking aboard the deck. You see actually above some ghosts fly by. Their spirits fly by towards a rival. You know, you're not sure where they're going because the glass jar is broken and the lid to the jar seems to be shut at the moment. But as they fly by, One-Eyed William is standing aboard the deck and he says, "Oh, bad luck that is. Here, little hempin lumpin, let me show you around the ship. And here we have the forecastle." And then you hear somebody yell from the background, "It's the forecastle." And he goes, "No, the forecastle, yes. Here's the front is called the stern, I think, because it doesn't move even though the waves push it against it." And then you hear somebody yell, "No, it's not." And he goes, "Yeah, yes. And I think this is the mast. Or wait, which one is the mast? Is that the wooden part or the tarp part?" And he looks at you like you would know, Hempin Lumpin.
How did you get this job?
Why is it called a forecastle? I only see one.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer. I'll be honest. There was a previous worker. His name was Lambrecht. He was kind of an annoying chap. But anyways, one day we encountered a sea monster, and it cleaved him to the brisket, if you know what I mean. Somebody yells, "That's not what that means." And he goes, yes, cleaved him to the brisket. Look, you can see the splatter on the board here, where you can still see the stain on the deck from where he was killed.
I want to ask whoever is correcting One-Eyed William, because clearly One-Eyed William is not a very reliable source for information.
Yeah.
So whoever is correcting him, are there actual sea monsters out here?
Yeah, so this it's usually the one correcting him is Piper Podcast or Pockus. So this was Pen and Paper Podcast, who are Pen and Piper Pockus. But Piper Pockus, she will tell you that there was a giant sea monster that they encountered once, and they didn't get a good look at it, but it was basically this huge blob in the ocean, like as big as their ship, and it had all these tentacles, and it kind of like tried to pull you towards it and like consume you.
So turtles out, sea monsters in.
Yes,
Got it.
Exactly. We're playing fast and loose with what we're but this was actually the same. It was basically a giant version of the blobs that you fought in the lake.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Lambrecht, but he was that really annoying guy that you ignored inside of the city of One.
Yeah, the one that wanted to come with us.
Yeah, apparently he met a gruesome end on board the ship.
Well,
There's only room for one Garlos.
In the background, Fancy Napkin Lumpin is like swabbing the decks to clean up the the bloodstains.
With a mop or with his own body?
I guess he's like dipping the bottom part of his ghost body into the bucket and just swabbing it. Oh, somebody's got to clean this up.
Yeah, well, at this point, Charles Faster says, "Hey, don't worry about it. Let me cast Prestidigitation. Ah, man,
It's prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation.
I'll do it. Don't worry.
All right."
I'm suddenly missing an old friend.
Although, as he walks out, though, Charles does want to show you, Paxton, that he has a tattoo on his face. It's kind of a portly elven woman, and like below it says like "mom" and a little heart. And he goes, "Hey, what do you think? I thought about what you said, and I decided to commit."
Did he get it on the ship?
Yeah, I did it myself. What do you think?
How did you do it yourself? I'm very impressed with how well it turned out if you really did do it yourself.
He goes, "All right, you got me." And as he says that, it disappears off of his face. So I'll be honest, I know of a lot of illusion magic. I did not commit to the face tattoo.
I'm really relieved. You know, it's hard to get a job with a face tattoo. I was just worried about you.
That's what I was worried about. You know, entering the job force. So,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't commit. I appreciated the suggestion. And he's going to let you know that, so you're still like a little less than a week away, but you guys are on your way to a city on the very northwestern edge of the world, and it is called Angavisen. Angavisen. He says, but he laughs when he says it because he says nobody actually calls it that. Everybody calls it Veggie Town.
Veggie Town.
Yeah, Veggie Town. Because trust me, you will understand when we get there. We're gonna head there. It's at the end of the river, and I've got a buddy who we're gonna meet up with there, and he's gonna let us know where Roderick is.
Okay. Those two ghosts that flew by earlier, were they coming from the direction of the city that we're heading towards?
No, they were heading from the north.
Okay.
And so you guys are heading northwest, although because you're going upstream, you kind of have to make a zigzag, like an 80-degree angle. You can't actually go directly into the wind. It's actually faster to kind of zigzag back and forth.
Mm.
Fancy Napkin Lumpin is going to glide over to Hempen Lumpin and say quietly, "Oh, Lumpin, what are we doing?"
We're supposed to help catch somebody, and I think Paxton wants us to use magic and weapons, he said, to persuade him to be good.
Who is Paxton?
Oh, he's the guy with the beard and the metal clothes. He's our friend.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we're supposed to not use magic without asking him first.
Why?
I don't know. Hey, Paxton.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Why can't we use magic?
Well, you remember when your buddy burned down a bakery?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do magic all willy-nilly sometimes, it can be a little bit destructive. So, and you guys don't have a great track record, so just trying to keep it chill, you know?
Okay. What if it's not fire magic?
What were you thinking?
Well, I mean, there are lots of fish around, and we could always use more friends.
You want to try to talk to some fish?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like it could hurt anything, I don't think. It's probably fine.
I shuffle off to where somebody's fishing, and I cast Awaken on a fish.
All right.
But I like using magic, and Master Strombolo says it's important for branding.
Are you experienced with magic?
Oh yeah, I do it every performance.
Cool. Have you ever burned anything down or hurt anyone really badly or caused any kind of damage to the surrounding structure that you're in?
Not with magic.
Interesting answer. I wasn't prepared for that one. You know what? It's probably fine. I don't want to make it sound like I'm your guys' boss or anything. You know, I'm just trying to keep people safe is all.
Okay. Are you an agent?
An agent.
More of a
Like-
manager.
A talent agent?
I'm kind of playing the role of supervisor maybe, but like, you know, servant leadership, lead from behind, that kind of thing.
Okay. What percentage do I get?
Percentage of what?
My last agent told me I should always ask what percentage I get.
But didn't explain what for. I'm assuming you mean money.
Okay.
And we haven't made any money yet. But if we do come into some money, yeah, we'll share it. We'll do a split that feels fair. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Fancy Napkin Lumpkin, you are shaped like a ghost, but you are not actually a ghost, right? Like you are physical, not ethereal.
Yeah, I'm just a napkin.
And you intentionally switched places with our buddy Fire Lumpin? Like that was what you meant to do?
Well, I was traveling with Master Strombolo, and then Lumpin found me, and he said we need to find Lumpin and Lumpin. So I said maybe oh no, it was his idea. He said, well, we found a wizard who did some teleportation magic, and I had some money, so, but I guess there was some problem or something.
Why do you think there was a problem?
I don't know. I didn't do the teleportation magic. We paid someone.
I see. So you weren't exactly expecting to be on a ship, or you didn't know where you were going, huh?
Well, we wanted to go to Lumpen and Lumpen, but I guess only I found Lumpen.
It sounds like you did succeed in going to where Lumpen and Lumpen were. It's just that you became one of those Lumpens. You switched places with them. So my guess would be that the fire Lumpen that was here is back wherever you came from.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're part of the crew now. You got any questions?
What's the rigging?
You know, I'm not much of a sailor, so I don't really know, but see that guy over there with one eye?
Uh-huh.
He really seems to know his stuff.
No, for the record, One-Eyed William has both eyes.
The plot thickens. If that's the case, I would have definitely asked why they call him One-Eyed William.
You don't want to ask.
Oh, yeah, maybe I don't.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. They say, just don't ask.
Okay. Maybe don't talk to that guy.
At this point, I'm going to come back to you with a fish in a bucket. This says his name is Gil.
You hear Gil yelling, "Free me, please! Free me! Free me!"
I guess it'd be confusing for the listeners if we had another fin. So that fish is screaming, huh?
Yeah. Free me, please! Free me!
Hempin' Lumpin', maybe we should put him back. He doesn't seem very happy.
Do you want to go back in the ocean?
Yes, please!
Okay. And I pour the bucket out over the side.
Freedom! And he plops back into the water. So at this point, you guys are still in the ocean, but you finally now have made your way to the coast of the Great Forest. And as you're approaching it, you see there's basically this kind of giant inlet where the water kind of goes in, and there's kind of land surrounding both sides. And in the middle of this inlet, in the middle of this bay, there's an island, and there's a stone tower on top of this island. As you guys first see this, you notice the crew gets very quiet. Nobody says anything, and they just kind of continue to sail by.
Insight check to see if I guess, notice the vibe change.
So you know what? I'm going to roll for you, because as going back and listening to it, I realized that Mike used to just always roll insight checks for you guys. Mm-hmm. But then he gave up. So what is your
such a control freak?
what is your insight bonus?
+9.
Oh wow! So you rolled pretty high. So you noticed that you definitely noticed that everybody gets quieter, and people seem to kind of be avoiding looking out over the tower.
I want to ask Captain Cragclaw, point to the tower and be like, "Hey, what's that?"
That's not to mention it.
Why?
It's bad luck for the seafarers.
So it's like a superstitious thing?
If that's what you wish to refer to it, yes. It's better not to mention it.
Okay.
And why don't you guys actually all roll perception checks for me?
19.
I guess I should have rolled that too, but fine.
16. No, 17. Sorry.
I got a 9.
Paxton and Hempin' Lumpin', you guys notice that there is movement in this tower, but nobody else seems to mention it, and there's even some lights you see kind of in some of the windows of the tower.
Atulf doesn't strike Paxton as being a superstitious person that would not want to talk about something because it's bad luck. So Paxton's gonna ask Atulf, what's the deal with this tower and why is everyone being so weird about it?
Yes, it was a former observer tower. It recently has become haunted by the undead, and it has been told that many of the ships that have come close have been sunk or destroyed without their crew ever being found.
Do undead need lights? Because there's lights in the tower.
As you say that, he looks up and he says,
No, that is very strange. I do not know why there is lights inside of the tower.
Is it worth investigating?
I do not believe so. I believe we should just continue on our mission.
I suppose the whole reason that we're here is to take care of this Roderick guys before we get on to our real mission. So even though I definitely want to go check that out, maybe we should put a pin in it.
I pull a pin out of my cloth body and hand it to Paxton.
I didn't say take a pin out.
Yeah, but you needed a pin to put in it.
Okay, I stick it in my pocket. Thank you, Lumpin.
I look very satisfied.
So you guys continue forward. You continue on. Who wants to roll the next roll for me?
You want to get it, Brandon?
I'll do it. 14.
All right, 14. One night you guys are all kind of eating together. After Penn has made the meal, and him and Piper kind of start lovingly talking about how they met. He actually used to work at a Smite and Bite, but he was making minimum wage, not doing great. And then she came in one day, and it was kind of love at first sight. And he actually ended up quitting on the spot and going and talking with her.
Love at first sight at the Smite and Bite.
Yeah, that's right.
What is the name of the what was the name of the bosun again? One-Eyed William?
One-Eyed William, yeah.
No, he's the boatswain.
Yes,
The boatswain.
I'm picturing One-Eyed William trying to wipe his mouth with Lumpin.
Yeah, he definitely does not quite understand that they're like, doesn't really fully think of you guys as people. It's not super nice. But he's definitely a little off, and the other crew kind of avoid him. Also, I don't know if any of you guys remember, the Smite and Bite was actually the fast food chain that Aster and Papa Gaston robbed.
Yeah, I remember.
The name sounded familiar.
You guys continue on. After a while, Zemfuror, he starts getting annoyed of all these lumpins. You hear him one day uttering under his breath. He goes,
Ik has al deze domme lumpen som laat af diesem Schiff.
Huh?
But anyway, so you guys continue forward. the one German audience member just laughed. I heard him off in the distance. You guys continue on. As you kind of get back to the coast, you see it's kind of a jungle up to the eastern side of the boat. As you're on the River Reliable now, going kind of zigzagging back and forth, you see there's lots of like palm trees and coconut trees, and it's like a dense jungle to your east. You continue forward. One day, though, you guys are up on deck, and you're still about 2 or 3 days from reaching Veggietown. And One-Eyed William, he's up on deck, and he's up front at the forecastle. He says he's looking on the trees for cackle fruit. Somebody tells him that that's not what a cackle fruit is, but he says he's looking for cackle fruit. And then all of a sudden, you see him, or you hear him, I should say, yell, "Ahoy! Ahoy, look! To port side! To port side!" And somebody says, That's starboard. And he goes, "No, whichever one." He goes, "There's movement in the trees." And you guys can all roll perception checks for me.
Make sure you don't want to roll them.
No, I realized very quickly why Mike doesn't do it for you anymore.
12.
I got a nat 1.
Nice.
I got a 7.
Hemp and Lumpin, you see a little bit of movement in the trees. The rest of you guys, Paxton, you get very confused for a second because you all of a sudden, as this is going on, you notice that the big snooze, she's cheating over there at cards, and that kind of strikes your interest. Hemp and Lumpin, you notice a little bit of movement in the trees, and then out of the trees suddenly rushes a very large boar, and riding atop it is a large orc with dreadlocks and scars all over his body. And in these dreadlocks, they're actually making noises as he moves, because you see that there's actually teeth inside of his dreadlocks that he's kind of woven into his hair.
Cool.
He blows a horn, and then you see several more orcs come out of the woods, similarly with teeth in their hair. And finally, they're followed by what appears to be a giant orc, but it has 2 heads. So one of the heads is an orc, and the other head is a goblin.
Interesting. But they're on the shore, and we're in the water, right?
Yeah, but you've been zigzagging, and you're kind of close to them. You're probably about 20 feet away. It's kind of a cliff face.
Wave to them and shout, "Hello!"
Hello.
Hendrik, as he sees them, he says,
Oh, I've heard of these men. They are not good orcs. They are not good orcs. I knew an orc who had left their kind. He was working in the city of One. He said that they are called the Rattlers because they carry teeth in their hair from their victims. They are not nice men. Although, I will say this one orc that I met who left them, he is a fantastic dentist now.
and then all of a sudden, one of the orc head of the I don't know if what you would is I don't know if it's an Etten, whatever it is. He yells at you,
And he says, "Halt! We will crush you all, tear out your teeth, and use your bones and skulls to make music."
Oh, I like music.
We don't have any teeth.
I don't have bones.
Well, then we will use your stuffing to make cotton balls for I don't.
and then so he kind of gets confused, and he uses his one arm on that side to kind of scratch his head. The goblin side says,
Dwight, we talked about this. Hey, sorry, we don't do all that stuff anymore. Hey, I'm super sorry about my brother. Hey, anyways, please, if you guys would be so kind, would you mind turning over your ship and supplies and maybe a tooth or two, and then we will be on our way. We don't want any trouble, so please just don't cause a fuss.
Well, why don't you do music anymore?
We don't do that kind of music anymore. We're trying to avoid the murder, and so if you could please be nice and just give us your ship and teeth and stuff, and we'll be on our way.
and at this, Atolf says, "If it pleads, we can kill it."
That's a new one. I'm a bit confused why we would feel threatened by orcs riding boars on the coast when we are on a ship. Like, I don't see how they could possibly board us, right?
So they're kind of up on a cliff face, they're on a higher elevation. So theoretically, the one that what appears to be kind of like a war chief, he's riding a boar. The rest are riding like giant wolves.
So we think they could jump off the cliff onto us?
Yeah, they're not planning to board us. They're planning to bore us.
So they are.
Everyone needs a vacation from that one.
I liked it.
All right, roll for initiative.